There is a lot of discussion at the moment about whether our clothing should be made from natural or synthetic fabrics, especially because if you go shopping, it does feel like the stores are inundated with plastic clothes. I have received a lot of questions from my audience on the topic, but I'm not the most knowledgeable. I err on the side of caution. I buy a lot of things made out of natural fibers. But I know there is a place for synthetics in our clothes and in our wardrobe, so I wanted to talk to someone who's a little bit more knowledgeable about it. So, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Trevor. I own William Ellery, which is an outdoor apparel company based here in New York. And we make clothing sometimes out of new fibers, sometimes out of old fabrics, but we use both natural and synthetic fibers.
If you could give a brief overview of your understanding, like what even the difference is between natural fibers and synthetics, because I feel like there is sort of a false dichotomy because everything comes from the earth, there's nothing that we're creating out of thin air, there's nothing that's like fake and something that's real necessarily, but what do you find the main division is between those two things?
I think the division is between refinement and a chemical change. So like taking cotton, which is a form of cellulose, or something like rayon, which is also cellulose. In cotton, the fiber is refined. But the fiber remains intact, whether it's from the plant or in the garment. Whereas the cellulose fiber that comes from bamboo, that they make rayon out of, is completely stripped and denatured and chemically changed into a synthetic fiber, and a new fiber is born. So like the difference being like a natural fiber is something that exists in its natural state that is then refined, whether it be like combed, or it gets a wash, or it goes through some sort of enzyme process.
Yeah.
And a synthetic fiber is something that was not a fiber in its origin and has been created.
Historically, I want to learn about the start of William Ellery. What was like the first thing you manufactured and how did you go about that process?
The first thing I made was socks, wool socks. And that was in an effort to convince my then girlfriend, now wife, to wear wool socks in the summer. I really like wearing wool socks all year round because they just keep your foot health good. You don't sweat like you do in cotton socks. I think a lot of people wear like those black cotton athletic socks, which I despise. Those are like the slimiest thing. And then after years of wearing them, I had no idea how bad they were. Wool is it's like a styrofoam cooler on your foot. So it's like it either keeps you warm or keeps you cold. Whatever you're putting in there is like what it keeps.
Before we get into specifics, do you have maybe broad generalizations about what natural fibers are good for in clothing and what synthetics are good for and what they're also each bad at?
Natural fibers are better for living in.
Yeah.
And synthetic fibers are better for performing in.
Okay.
A lot of the outdoors can be done in a very tame setting, like small hikes, hanging out on the beach, those kinds of things. Natural fibers are great because you're not having to repel any water or protect against any elements or not die from exposure. But with synthetics, you are hopefully in a situation where you do need to do those things, like go into the water. And it used to be wool bathing suits, but now it's nylon and lycra, and I'm happy for that because it's much more comfortable to go into the water or to be rained on or to be snowed on. In living settings, being in a metropolis or in your home, natural fibers are the way to go. But when you're going outside and actually facing the elements, synthetics perform a lot better.
Yeah.
Mainly because they're a shield against water. One wants to get rid of it and one wants to attract it. And because our bodies produce water, the natural fibers feel more comfortable because they want to hold the water for us.
And so in your very first sock, were you thinking 100% wool?
I was thinking 100% wool, but what I didn't realize is you can't do a 100% wool sock without making a lumpy sock. Socks are essentially a mesh of nylon or a supporting synthetic fiber with elastic to give it a bit of adhesion to the body form.
Yeah.
And then you kind of drape all of that in as much wool as you can. So just a very small amount of synthetics makes a sock be able to expand and contract, which wool does not like to do because it's a very spiky substance. And it also just allows the product to last a lot longer. So it's more comfortable, it lasts a lot longer, and it still has all the properties of natural fibers. In New Zealand, there's an animal called brush-tailed possum, which exists in other places like Australia, but it is an invasive species to New Zealand, and the government is actively eradicating it. So we buy the byproduct fur from the government
Yeah.
and mix it into merino socks.
And which ones are those?
So some of these are, this is possum, this is possum, this is possum, these are possum.
Oh, okay. Is
So-
there a benefit to that fiber?
Yeah, so possum hair is like, it's like beaver hair or bear fur. It's a long, thin, hollow fiber.
Okay.
And with any insulation, you're trying to trap air, whether that be like down or wool or polyester, sleeping bags, like you're trying to trap air because that is what conducts heat the worst. So with that small added fiber that has a hollow space, it traps a little bit more air per weight. It's also a very like oily, thin fiber, like a bear fur is similar, but it's a much larger follicle.
Yeah.
So it'd be like very scratchy and like almost like toothpicks in your socks. But because these are like much smaller fibers, you barely feel them. They have like kind of a soft quality.
Yeah. I mean, this is the farthest from natural fabrics probably that you guys get. No?
Let me bring something over.
Something even more synthetic.
No, not more synthetic. Okay, so we're producing these simultaneously.
Okay. What is this, suede?
Yeah, this is suede.
Pretty. I'm so scared of marking up suede.
It's okay. You gotta like, suede's like any other leather. You just gotta be okay with getting it gross.
Yeah. This is such a nice color.
Beautiful, right? And we do like a lot of like hand painted stuff. We're gonna do a little
Can you do stuff on it?
lovebird sort of thing we do on here. Just like a beautiful bag that like, it's leather, so it's gonna last a really long time, especially in suede. It's as long as you take care of it.
What color is this?
Brass.
It's so shiny.
Yeah, so when we do metals, we try to always do brass because it patinas so nicely. These are like samples, so we have like, you know, there's like plastic or whatever on here. Like if I could go back and change the default color of plastic, I would, from black to any other color.
Any other
Like
color
whatever
than this?
color is plastic is normally, like
Yeah.
I would default to that.
This is a nice blue. Plastic.
These are vintage.
Oh, this is vintage?
Yeah, so vintage plastic.
Oh, the actual things are vintage.
The actual cord locks.
Where do you get vintage cord locks?
I'll never tell. So these are made in Denver, and they're in such good quality.
They're really
basically
cute.
brand new. And then this cording is like, this is a modern cording. It's a recreation of like the cording you would see on all the old outdoor gear in the 70s.
I see.
And these bags are like a study of that transitional period in the 70s, like the outdoor revolution,
Yeah.
which is when you were going from canvas bags, brass zippers, to nylon bags with plastic zippers.
So this is a tote.
This is a tote.
You're not taking this to the outdoors.
This is more, well, actually, like, you go upstate, you're going fishing or whatever.
Yeah.
So these hold fishing poles
Oh.
on these, and then, well, this one doesn't have it. They have like elasticated mesh on the other side. But all of those things are like, these are all extremely durable.
Yeah.
And will last a super long time. And then this has like a heavier denier on the bottom just to make it last a little bit longer.
And this is nylon.
Yeah, this is Cordura nylon. Even brass and leather accents on the inside. I couldn't find a plastic toggle that I thought was at all approachably nice, so I just had them CNC'd out of brass to be just a little bit more beautiful.
Yeah, it's pretty. But for something like this, obviously you're not wearing it on the body, so the only thing you're really worried about is durability.
Yeah, because it's not in skin contact, it's comfort and durability. Like things like foam and like thicknesses and weights.
Keeping it light.
Yeah.
I want to talk, I guess we can go from most synthetic to least synthetic. Do you have your rugby
Least
polos?
synthetic, yeah.
Is that what that would be probably?
Yeah.
Or some button downs?
Yeah, this is least synthetic, so this is like a woven wool shirt. This is a fabric made by Pendleton, which is an American mill. These are produced in New Jersey. Just like a everyday beautiful like long sleeve camp collar.
Yeah, camp collar.
And then these are knit rugbies we make in Canada, 100% cotton. I played rugby when I was a kid,
Really? How
Yeah.
old?
all of high school.
Oh, okay. When you said kid, I was imagining like a 5-year-old playing rugby for some reason.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't think they let kids play rugby.
Well, yeah, no, those 5-year-olds do play rugby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Tennessee.
Yeah, I played rugby in Tennessee, and like I really like rugby jerseys.
Yeah.
I did not like them when I was a kid.
Okay.
I thought they were like pretty cumbersome, but they have like,
They're so thick.
they're thick. These all have like the reinforced armpits and rubber buttons so that when like somebody tugs on your shirt, it just pulls through instead of popping the button off.
Yeah.
Like, but now I like love these shirts because they're like, I'm old enough to know like what shirts feel like after you've worn them many times, that like these feel great to me.
And these days, are button-downs being made with polyester more? Or is there sort of,
No, yeah.
this is Pendleton, right? I mean, they're...
Yeah, no, this is 100% wool.
Right.
But I don't think that polyester is huge in button downs right now.
Okay, I was just wondering.
Maybe like Express Men's. I haven't really seen it. It's a huge drift towards cotton, but I think this is a super fine wool that like I'm hoping to introduce people to like what a wool thin shirt feels like.
It doesn't have to be something thick and bulky.
Yeah, like this, which is a Mackinaw wool coat that we did last year that is like, it's like a tortoise shell. When you put it on, it really feels like heavy.
And this is this a fleece?
This is a cotton.
Oh, okay.
This is, it's sometimes called chamois cloth. It's like a moleskin.
Oh, yeah.
It's, and it gives just like a little bit of comfort on the back there.
So is this all natural fibers then?
This would be all natural fibers. This is a Pima cotton corduroy. It's the same as what's on the jacket.
Yeah.
And this is a 25, 26 ounce Mackinaw wool.
And so this is great for keeping warm, but not necessarily anything water related.
It'll shed snow. You know, you'll be pretty good with that. But once you're in like an actual storm, it's like nothing.
Yeah.
Gone through. This is a version of like waterproof natural fiber. This is a waxed cotton. Waxed cotton has its like pros and cons. Like the biggest con is it's not really washable. And like we've tried doing down jackets in like wool and waxed cotton shells, but like while they look really cool, I don't feel like they have the longevity.
Because they get so stained, essentially?
They get so stained,
and then people don't want to wear them anymore.
They can get like a crust feel to them, which like in a wax jacket, when it's like very purpose built like this, that crust can be nice. You might want that for like whatever you're using it for, like that little bit of like lived in feel, and like it's like a baseball glove that really like kind of molds to you. But in a down jacket that's such like a versatile all winter kind of thing, you want it to be able to be washed. And also the down fibers, like they smell like a barnyard when they're like not clean.
Yeah.
Like they can get really gross. And like when like the smell people associate with camping gear is that like bacteria in fibers like that.
In down.
Not always down, but like any camping gear, like leaving water to like sit, moisture, like sweat especially, like
Yeah.
that's what creates that like really camping gear smell. It's like, I think camping gear has to be like really washable.
Washable to get rid of that.
Yeah.
But these are waterproof, the canvas.
Yeah, well, water repellent. You
Water
know, like each
repellent.
time you like, even though these are felded seams, like each time you plug a little hole in there, a little bit of water can get through.
Right.
And like eventually the wax coating will wear off and you have to reapply wax. But pretty much water resistant, waterproof as much as you need.
So this is like the natural fabrics, and then we're back to synthetics over here.
Yeah, I guess that, well,
Except for these, I guess.
Yeah, some more rugbies in there. But yeah, so these are two different synthetic fleeces. This is like, we got a call last year about these rolls of fleece in like a Jersey warehouse.
Oh, really?
And anytime that I find like a material, like whether I know what to do with it or not, that's like that kind of thing, I'm just like, yeah, buy it, let's do it. Let's
And then we'll figure it out later.
figure it out. So I've been like waiting all year to like get these darn things out the door. Just because like the rolls of fabric are so large
They're
and they
big.
take up so much space and rent money. But like, so this is like an antique style of fleece. And
Is it actually an old fabric?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, it's old. It's like,
So they found it like in a warehouse?
yeah,
Oh my gosh. So is it a vintage fabric? Do you know how old it is?
we don't know the age on it, but it's probably 20, 25 years old. So I wanted to make like a fleece kind of that era. Like the original fleeces were made from toilet bowl fabric, like the U-shaped carpet that goes around the toilet bowl.
Yeah.
And they were like this, where the pile is towards the inside. And then like employees of like LL Bean or Patagonia would turn them inside out as like a rebellious thing, and then it was like teddy bear fur on the outside, and then that just became like the norm. And like just like with anything, people only know what they know, so they could never go back to the
But you're turning it back
pile.
inside out.
Yeah, I like it more. I think it's like it's easier to get in and out of like your down coat that's on top of it, and like especially with like these rough cut like
do like that,
shearling
yeah.
pocket, it's like
Though I assume fleece is originally supposed to imitate like wool or a fur even.
yeah, I think it was like a cheap way of making carpet, but
Okay.
it does have that like fur quality, and like,
Yeah.
because it's so much pile or like loft to it, you're trapping a lot of air. And polyester is really good because it's crinkly to trap a lot of air. Yeah, okay, so this is like an antique version of fleece. This is like a modern version of fleece. So like in 10 years, this will be like everywhere. It's a mesh style fleece, so it's very, very breathable and very, very lightweight. And this is like a medium weight. There's much lighter versions of this. There's much heavier versions of this. But because it's a mid layer like the original fleeces are, it really only works in conjunction with an outside shell or like a rain jacket, some sort of layer to protect against wind or water. But it provides similar amounts of heat as this garment in a fraction of the weight.
Okay.
So people really like it for that, and it's a very technical piece of fabric that like allows you to like really perspire through it, which this fleece is like much heavier, kind of holds on to that perspiration, and you don't really lose a lot of like your weight. But it also has better wind shear protection, but not enough that I would say it's a outside layer. Yeah.
And how was this fabric developed? Do you know?
It was developed by Polar Tech for Natick Labs. Natick Labs is like, it's in Massachusetts. It's like a big research center for everything military.
And it was developed recently?
10, 15 years ago, 20
Oh, okay.
years ago, like relatively recently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you learn about it? How did you decide you wanted to use it?
I don't remember how I learned about it, but I think it's just like with anything in the outdoor industry, like these newer technical products just come across and you're like, okay, oof, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
I guess my question is like, my experience with something like this, I think would be skiing probably, doing like a tight layer and then something, you know, a fleece or something fuzzy on top and then a shell. And I feel like most of my experience has just been with wool. Like I've usually just used a wool layer. Is there a reason why you would do something like this over wool?
Well, it's a huge reduction in weight.
Okay. Wool is much heavier.
Wool is much heavier. For even base layers, I'll still keep wool, like a super fine wool as
Like
a
a
base
tight,
layer.
yeah.
Yeah, like I like the way it feels. It handles my sweat really
And
well.
so that's like your base layer. The first thing that's touching your skin would be wool still.
Yeah. So there's like base layer, mid layer, which would be like insulation, and then shell, which
see.
would be sometimes it's shell insulation, like a down jacket, but which still could require a mid layer, or like something to protect against elements. This I think is like with skiing. I'm not really a skier, but I would imagine like this would be just fine for you. But also a wool garment in that kind of instance probably does great too.
Yeah.
You're not really concerned about weight. It's more like when you're backpacking, you're like hauling. That
Yeah,
like
everything matters.
ounces like turn to pounds really quickly. This is like a mixture of natural and synthetic. And like maybe the best example of that is a down jacket. This uses a 60/40 shell. 60/40 is like, developed in the 70s, was like Sierra Designs was a big manufacturer of it. Carl Sagan, he wears like that rust colored orange jacket.
Yeah.
That's a Sierra Designs 60/40.
And 60 cotton or 60 poly?
60 cotton.
60 cotton, 40 polyester?
Yeah, nylon.
Oh, nylon, yeah.
Yeah, and so this is waterproof but breathable, and it's been like pressed and calendared so that none of the down on the inside pokes through, which is entirely natural.
Yeah.
100% nylon on the inside, which is just a really nice soft material that helps you get in and out of this thing, because that can be like a cumbersome thing to do.
It's very soft.
But like ideally, this is never like touching your skin.
You're always wearing something.
You're always wearing something, and you want the ability to like get your arm in and out of that jacket more easily.
And it's called the Storm King?
Yeah, Storm King. So this is a collaboration with Crescent Downworks, which is like the last American down manufacturer.
Oh, really? Where are they based?
They're based in Seattle. So the company's founder Annie, she worked at Eddie Bauer,
Okay.
who invented the down jacket in the 30s. And she worked in research and development for them late 60s, early 70s. Then
Did they use 60/40 Eddie Bauer?
The original Skyliner, which was the original down jacket, I believe was 100% nylon. I don't know about the ribbing,
Yeah.
like the bomber cuffs and.
What's the benefit to having the cotton?
It just breathes a little bit better,
It's always gonna be it.
and you can feel it too.
Yeah.
There's actually a good look to it.
You find it's a little bit more textured, tactile.
Well, I mean, you can see it versus this. Like this
Right.
feels like a little bit more synthetic.
Plasticky. Yeah, you're right. This looks more like a weave. I guess I have another question, which I don't know how important it is for people to know this, but what, between synthetics like polyester and nylon and viscose or whatever else people are using, is it important to know the difference, like as a buyer, what
Yeah.
what kind of synthetics things are
Sure.
made in?
Yeah, 100%. Let's see if we can. These are this is a French company, you'll be able to see. I'll admit, I don't know the most about all of the different synthetic chemicals and stuff.
Yeah.
But there are detriments to nylon. Nylon has really poor UV resistance.
Oh, okay.
So all of synthetic fibers they photodegrade instead of biodegrade. So as the sun hits them, they tear apart. That's why the seats in stadiums discolor is because the top layer is photodegrading. Whereas polyester has slightly more UV resistance. It also has a crinkly texture to it. Nylon can be a lot more smooth. So nylon you want for the inside of that jacket where it's you really want to get in and out, but fleece you want that crinkled hold that you can get for to keep insulation.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. Well, I mean, thank you for taking us around and talking to us about all of this. I feel like you're obviously very knowledgeable and passionate.
Passionate, knowledgeable, get in there.
Okay.
Just with anything,
Yeah.
studying it as much as I can.
And it goes so deep, and there's always more to learn.
Yeah, I think anyone that says that they know it either truly works at a fashion or a fabric mill of some kind and they study one particular fiber really well, or they're just doing the same thing where they're learning as much as they can and producing the best they can.
Yeah, with the knowledge that they have. Do you feel like you have generated any sort of general guidelines for yourself with fabrics and
Yeah, no dryer.
no dryer?
No dryer. I mean, granted, a New York apartment might not have a dryer, but it is so bad for fabric. It is so bad that I would say it at least cuts it in half, if not more.
In terms of longevity?
Yeah, when washing your garments, it cold water always, unless it's you're trying to clean up after a murder or something, cold water. And even then, I think with blood, you're supposed
Blood
to do
actually comes out pretty easily. I
cold
find.
water.
Yeah.
When you find that it's good, yeah. And then never drying it, always hang drying, or the least amount of actual machine drying.
Yeah. So you're not worried about when you're selecting fabrics that they need to be dryer friendly because you're don't put anything in the dryer anyway.
I think that we can't prepare for every inevitability. A lot of synthetics are pretty good with all of that. Wools do not like that at all. Cottons kind of go either way, but I think as long as we're open with people about how to take care of it, it should be okay.
Okay. Cool. Well, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Where can people buy your stuff?
WilliamEllery.co.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
A great website.
Link down below.